In the crowded Jewish quarter of an old European city in the 18th century, a quiet coin dealer begins building a small business. Day after day, he studies the metal content of coins, foreign currencies, and the needs of traveling merchants and local princes. He discovers that the real power in money is not the gold itself, but accurate information and a reputation for always paying on time. In a modest home filled with children, this father teaches his sons about trade, discipline, and trust. He tells them that information can travel faster than any army, and that once trust is broken, it is almost impossible to repair. As the sons grow up, the family makes a bold decision that will change their fate. Each son will leave home and open a bank in a different European city. One goes north, another south, another west, until 5 brothers form a private network stretching across the continent. They send letters to each other every day, carried by fast couriers on horseback long before telegraphs or telephones exist. Because their messages arrive days ahead of official news, the brothers often know first when a war is ending, a treaty is signed, or a government is running out of cash. To protect this advantage, they write in code, mixing languages and symbols that only they and a few trusted clerks can fully read. With better information and more speed than their rivals, the family becomes expert in trading government bonds. When fear sweeps the market and prices crash, they quietly buy. When confidence returns and everyone wants to buy, they calmly sell. Volatility, which terrifies others, becomes their opportunity. At the same time, European rulers face a constant problem. They need enormous sums to pay soldiers, build roads, and refinance old debts, but traditional lenders cannot always provide enough. The family steps into this gap. They design large loans that can be split into many small bonds and sold to investors in different countries. This innovation spreads risk across thousands of buyers and makes it possible for governments to raise money on a scale never seen before. The family earns fees for arranging these issues and interest for holding a share of the bonds themselves. As the Industrial Revolution accelerates, they finance railways, mines, bridges, and canals. These projects shorten travel times, connect ports, and open new markets, multiplying trade and tax revenues. By backing infrastructure that actually makes economies grow, the family strengthens both its clients and its own position. Their real secret, however, is discipline. In their ledgers, every coupon payment is recorded, every obligation honored, even when politics turns against them. Investors learn that when this family's name is on a bond, payments arrive on time. In finance, that kind of reliability is priceless. Over time, they become not only bankers, but informal diplomats. They know ministers, generals, and monarchs in several capitals. Sometimes they quietly carry messages between courts or use their influence to discourage wars that would be disastrous for trade and for their own balance sheet. Newspapers and political cartoons begin to exaggerate their power. To the public, the idea of one family sending money and letters across borders seems mysterious and frightening. Some imagine them as puppet masters controlling entire governments. In reality, they are powerful but not all-powerful, always balancing on the edge between risk and ruin. History hits them hard more than once. When revolutions overthrow regimes, some of the governments they lent to simply refuse to pay their debts. During periods of default and crisis, the family loses fortunes and sometimes entire branches of the business. The image of an invincible dynasty hides the truth that they are also vulnerable to the storms of politics. The First World War shatters old trade routes and financial ties. Branches of the family find themselves on different sides of a global conflict. Borders harden, currency controls tighten, and capital cannot move as freely as before. The private network that once gave them so much power is suddenly much weaker. In the years that follow, governments take greater control of money. Central banks become stronger, public debt is issued directly by states, and large joint stock banks and industrial corporations rise. Many traditional family banking houses either disappear or are forced to reinvent themselves. The Rothschild name survives by adapting. Instead of trying to be the single giant of global finance, the family shifts toward specialized advisory work, mergers and acquisitions, and niche investment services. They no longer dominate international capital flows, but they remain respected for their experience and their discretion. Over generations, part of the family wealth flows into philanthropy. They help fund universities, scientific research, museums, and social projects. The dynasty moves from the world of kings and secret couriers into a modern world of public institutions, regulators, and electronic markets. At the same time, their name becomes a magnet for conspiracy theories. Some people, uncomfortable with the complexity of global finance, prefer a simple story in which one family secretly controls everything. Serious historians who study the archives find a more nuanced picture. The Rothschilds are very rich, very well connected, and sometimes extremely influential, but they operate within larger systems of markets, states, and wars that they cannot fully control. Today, the global money system is far too large for any single clan to dominate. Central banks, multinational corporations, investment funds, and digital platforms all share power. Yet many tools that this family helped to pioneer remain at the heart of modern finance. Government bonds, international syndicates, fast information networks, and cross-border investment are standard features of today's markets. The deeper lesson of the Rothschild story is not about one surname. It is about how knowledge, trust, and time combine to create financial power. They showed that understanding credit risk, honoring commitments, and staying calm in crises can be more important than having the biggest pile of gold. In a sense, what once made this dynasty special is now available to millions. With a smartphone and an online broker, ordinary people can buy bonds and stocks around the world in seconds. The tools that once required couriers and coded letters are now built into everyday apps. What remains rare is the mindset. Study more than others. Protect your capital. Be conservative with debt. Build relationships that last decades, not days. And let time and compounding do the heavy lifting. The legend of the Rothschild family can be used to sell myths about secret rulers of the world, but it can also be read as a very human story of ambition, calculation, good luck, bad luck, and adaptation over 2.5 centuries. When you look past the legends, you see something less magical but far more useful. Money is a system built by people. If you learn how that system works, you stop treating it as mystery and start treating it as a set of rules that you can use to build your own future.